Welcome to our channel. Today, we are going to explore the top 10 most controversial legal changes that have taken place across the globe. These legal changes have sparked intense debates, caused divisions among nations, and often led to public protests and social unrest. Laws that were meant to bring about reform or improve society ended up challenging traditional values, human rights, and ethical principles in ways that many could never have predicted. Laws, after all, reflect the values and cultural norms of the society they are enacted in, but some of these legal changes have tested those limits, leading to heated debates, legal challenges, and even widespread civil disobedience. Today, we'll take a closer look at the most divisive legal changes from all over the world that raised questions about the role of government, personal freedom, and the future of justice in a rapidly changing world. One. Legalization of marijuana. One of the most widely debated and controversial legal changes of the past few decades is the legalization of marijuana. In several countries, including Canada, Uruguay, and a number of U.S. states, marijuana was legalized for recreational use. While many argue that legalizing marijuana is a step forward in terms of decriminalizing a substance that has been shown to have medical benefits, opponents claim that it leads to an increase in crime, addiction, and societal harm. These legal changes have sparked intense debates about the role of the government in regulating personal behavior and health. 2. Immigration laws. The issue of immigration has long been a source of controversy, and many countries have enacted or reformed immigration laws in recent years that have ignited fierce debates. In the United States, the 2017 executive order banning citizens from several predominantly Muslim countries from entering the U.S. sparked protests, lawsuits, and criticism from both domestic and international groups. Similarly, Europe has seen an uptick in controversial immigration policies, particularly with countries like Hungary and Italy passing stricter border control measures. Immigration laws often bring up the tension between national security and the human rights of immigrants, with many countries adopting policies that reflect the political climate of the moment. Three. Abortion rights. Abortion laws remain one of the most contentious issues in countries around the world. In the United States, the landmark 1973 decision by the Supreme Court to legalize abortion, known as Roe v. Wade, was a victory for women's rights activists. However, more recently, various U.S. states have passed restrictive abortion laws that aim to limit access to abortion services. Similarly, many countries around the world continue to grapple with the question of whether abortion should be legal, with some nations having passed laws that significantly restrict or ban abortion altogether. These laws continue to stir moral debates about bodily autonomy, the rights of the fetus, and whether the government should have a say in these deeply personal decisions. 4. Surveillance and privacy laws. In an increasingly digital world, privacy has become a significant concern for both individuals and governments. Many countries have implemented laws that allow for mass surveillance, such as the UK's Investigatory Powers Act and the United States Patriot Act following the 9/11 attacks. These laws grant governments the power to collect and store massive amounts of personal data from their citizens, including phone records, internet activity, and other private information. While these laws were justified by governments as necessary for national security, they have been heavily criticized for infringing upon personal freedoms and violating the right to privacy. Five. Sex work decriminalization. Some countries have opted to decriminalize sex work, but this legal change remains controversial. In New Zealand, the government passed a law that decriminalized sex work in an effort to protect the rights and safety of sex workers. While this move has been praised by human rights organizations as a step toward protecting workers in a vulnerable industry, it has been met with opposition from those who believe it could encourage exploitation, human trafficking, and harm. The debate over whether or not to decriminalize or legalize sex work is ongoing, with many countries taking different approaches based on cultural and moral values. Six. Data protection laws. The rise of the internet and digital technology has raised concerns about how personal data is collected, stored, and used. In response to these concerns, countries like the European Union introduced the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, which aims to protect citizens' privacy by placing restrictions on how companies can handle personal data. While the law has been hailed as a major step forward for privacy rights, it has also faced criticism from businesses that argue it imposes excessive regulatory burdens. The introduction of similar data protection laws in other countries has sparked debates about the balance between consumer protection and business freedom. Seven. Same-sex marriage legalization. The issue of same-sex marriage has been a divisive issue in many countries, and the legal recognition of same-sex marriage has sparked protests and public outcry in places where it is opposed. In countries like the United States, Ireland, and Australia, same-sex marriage was legalized after extensive legal battles, campaigns, and referenda. While many view the legalization of same-sex marriage as a victory for civil rights and equality, others believe that marriage should only be between a man and a woman, citing religious or cultural reasons. The ongoing debate about same-sex marriage reflects broader discussions about LGBTQ+ rights and equality. 8. Anti-terrorism laws. In the wake of terrorist attacks, many countries have introduced new laws that give governments greater powers to combat terrorism. These laws often include measures such as surveillance, detention without trial, and increased security measures. While these laws are aimed at protecting national security, they have been heavily criticized for eroding civil liberties, particularly when it comes to racial profiling and unjust detention. The implementation of anti-terrorism laws continues to spark debates about the balance between security and personal freedoms. 9. Workers' rights and labor laws. In many countries, labor laws have undergone significant changes in recent years, often resulting in a reduction of workers' rights. For example, in some nations, laws have been passed that limit the power of labor unions, reduce minimum wage requirements, and allow for more flexible working hours. These changes are often justified by governments as necessary to stimulate economic growth and increase business competitiveness. However, they have sparked protests and public outcry from workers who argue that these laws exploit employees and undermine their rights. Freedom of expression laws. In an era of increasing censorship and crackdowns on free speech, many countries have passed laws that restrict freedom of expression. In countries like China, Russia, and several Middle Eastern nations, laws have been passed that limit the ability of individuals to express dissenting opinions or criticize the government. The rise of these laws has sparked international outcry, with critics arguing that they violate fundamental human rights and hinder democratic processes. The debate surrounding freedom of expression remains at the forefront of global discussions about democracy, governance, and civil liberties. As we can see, these top 10 controversial legal changes have all challenged deeply held values, raised important questions about human rights and personal freedoms, and sparked global debates that continue to this day. The future of legal reform will likely continue to be shaped by these contentious issues, and it remains to be seen how societies will navigate the complex balance between security, equality, and personal freedom. Thank you for joining us today. If you found this video thought-provoking, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content on complex global issues. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you next time.